The Wise Parrot and the Greedy King. Once upon a time, in a vast kingdom, there lived a mighty king known for his greed and selfishness. He cared only for wealth and power, and he wanted to hoard every resource in his kingdom, regardless of the suffering it caused his people. His kingdom was rich, yet the king's heart was poor, for he was never satisfied, always wanting more. One day, while hunting in the royal gardens, the king stumbled upon a magnificent parrot perched on a tree. The parrot was unlike any other, with vibrant feathers that shimmered in the sunlight. As the king approached, the parrot spoke in a voice full of wisdom. "Great king, I am no ordinary bird," the parrot said. "I possess the knowledge of ages past and the wisdom of the ancients. If you seek my counsel, I can guide you to a life of prosperity that far exceeds your current wealth." Intrigued by the parrot's words, the king ordered his guards to capture it and bring it to the palace. Once the parrot was safely in the royal chambers, the king asked, "What advice do you have for me, wise bird?" The parrot looked at the king with kind eyes and replied, "Your wealth and power will only bring you sorrow unless you learn to be generous and kind. You must share your riches with your people, for a king who hoards his treasures will only find himself lonely and despised." The king, however, was not interested in such notions of kindness. "I do not need your advice," he scoffed. "I will keep all my riches for myself, for I am the greatest king in the land." The parrot, saddened by the king's response, warned, "Remember, greed has a price. If you do not change your ways, misfortune will follow." Ignoring the parrot's warnings, the king continued to amass wealth, taking more than his fair share and refusing to help his people. His subjects grew poorer, and resentment began to spread throughout the kingdom. Years passed, and the king's greed finally caught up with him. A terrible drought struck the kingdom, crops withered, and the people suffered. The king, desperate to save his wealth, ordered the last of his resources to be stored in the royal vaults. But the wealth did him no good. His people were starving, and his kingdom was crumbling. One day, as the king wandered through the palace garden, the wise parrot spoke to him once more. "Do you see now, great king? Your greed has led to this ruin. The wealth you hoarded can no longer save you, and your people, who you neglected, now suffer because of your selfishness." The king, finally humbled by the parrot's words, fell to his knees. "Please, wise parrot, what should I do? How can I make amends?" The parrot replied, "It is never too late to change. Begin by sharing your wealth with those who need it most. Show kindness and generosity to your people, and you will restore your kingdom." The king, moved by the parrot's wisdom, immediately set out to help his people. He opened the royal vaults and distributed food and resources to the starving. He built schools, hospitals, and homes for those in need. Over time, the kingdom began to flourish again, and the people, grateful for the king's change of heart, loved him as their true leader. The wise parrot, seeing the transformation in the king, smiled and said, "Now you understand the value of kindness and humility. True wealth lies not in gold and jewels, but in the love and respect of others." From that day on, the king ruled with fairness, generosity, and compassion. His kingdom became prosperous, not because of his material wealth, but because of the love and respect he earned from his people. And the wise parrot, having fulfilled its mission, flew off into the sky, leaving behind a kingdom that would never forget the lesson of humility and kindness.